Everybody is back, right?
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that's taking AI from a tool that just
Audio is not there.
talks to one that actually does things. We're talking about a leap beyond just generating content to an AI that can literally achieve goals for you.
Oh. Mm.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that's taking AI from a tool that just talks to one that actually does things.
No, right?
We're talking about a leap beyond just generating content
So
to
what
an
I'll do is
AI that
I'll
can
go ahead and put this on Discord, and then probably people can hear it on their own devices. Um, for some reason, it is not taking the audio on that. One moment. Let me see if I can figure something out over here. Not connected.
literally achieve goals for you out in the real world.
Okay, that's fine. I'll share the video with you all later on Discord. All right. So anyway, this video is something which I use Google Notebook LM to go ahead and create. Okay. It is, people ask me, is there really an Agentic AI application available in production which people are using and so on? I say my team has actually deployed this in customers' production environments, okay, various use cases. This is one which is available for anybody to go ahead and use. This is an Agentic AI application. If you have not used this earlier, I would really encourage you all to do. Specifically useful when you're actually going ahead and learning something new. So I would say even use this for learning agentic AI. Okay, and for anything else that also comes your way. The way that you go ahead and use this tool is you go to notebooklm.google.com. Okay, and then you go ahead and put in your sources. And I'll just open this and show. Okay. Okay, so there are notebooks that we create. You come over here, we go ahead and add sources. So we go ahead and say that, oh, here's a Google Doc, here's a Google slide, here's some web pages, YouTube, some text that I have copied somewhere, some file that I want to upload, all of that. Okay. So that is the first step where we go ahead and ingest information. I'm saying this is my content, the proprietary content as such. You can go ahead and obviously put public information. Something is there on YouTube, then it is public. You can do all of that, and then you can go ahead and ask it questions. And let's do this. So by the way, the PDF that is there over here, it is basically the color version of the book. Okay, that's the PDF. So Agentic AI Demystified is what is that? Okay, let me say this. So I can ask it then any question that I want about all of the sources that I've ingested. It will go through it. It will go ahead and get that information, send a call to LLM, and then create that answer. What is happening over here? What is this called as? Inferencing, yes, but then what else in addition to that? You're right. RAG. Okay, this is RAG. This is a simple example of RAG. I put in some information over here. It is getting that information out. I have not written anywhere in the book. The book provides a comprehensive guide to Agentic AI and all that. I have not put that. See, this is RAG in play, right? It took the overall information, what is there. It sent all of that information to LLM over here, probably a Gemini model. And then it says, okay, main topics, Agentic AI fundamentals. Okay, detailed introduction, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to hide this. Okay, and then it is saying, okay, advanced agentic AI concepts. It's right. Memory management tool, calling, evaluation, design to third chapter, Amazon Bedrock agents. Okay, then it should be Lang flow over here. I skipped Lang graph, protocol. You got it right. See, I didn't really go ahead and create a summary on this. Okay, it went through all of that content, it figured it out, and it has come with details over here. Okay, let's go ahead and ask it something like, okay, so more specific question, right? Because it has the entire content of the book. It will look at whatever we have written about Langra, go through it and then figure out, like, this is it and so on. And this is very specific to the book. So the thing is that there's a lot of information on Landgraph available in the public domain, but it is going to ground it. All the answers over here are going to be grounded. That means it is going to restrict those answers to whatever is present in the source. This is grounding. Why is grounding necessary? To reduce hallucinations. Okay. When you say, get me some content and also tell me where you got that answer from. Citation. See this? Okay. These are the citations. 5.2 core concepts graphs. If you open up the book, it will be there. I'm pretty sure. Okay. You get my point? It is getting it from the content. It is providing a citation. This is grounding. It is used to eliminate hallucination. And see, I didn't go ahead and or not me, it's not me who's the creator of this, right? See, Google has not gone ahead and coded out all the possible answers that somebody can ask over here. This is the power of agentic AI. Okay, where you're saying that the user can come and do whatever they want. There are like bunch of options. It is not that I can suddenly ask it to, book a flight from here to Delhi. Can't do that. There is like a overall set of capabilities that have been coded into this application. And now it's saying, okay, you ask whatever, put in whatever source you want, ask whatever question you want, I'll do it. Okay. Now, if it were just to do this, even that would be cool, correct? But that's not all it does. Okay, if it was just doing this, probably I would say that it's a Gen AI application. What makes it agentic is this. Okay, I'll show you. Okay. Um, am I not clicking it properly? What is happening? Let me refresh this. I don't know why, but it is not generating the mind map for me for some reason. Oh, I think it is doing it. I just was not able to see it over here. Okay, so it is generating the mind map over there. Okay, so it will take some time. What it is going to do is, it is going to go through all the concepts which are there in the book, put them all together. Kind of similar to the vector store that we were talking about. Okay, but in a two-dimensional space. So very limited in terms of dimensionality. It is going to put all those concepts together. And Obviously, I expect to see some of the chapter names over here. Langgraph will be there, Langflow will be there. Let's see what other items it comes up with. It also has the capability to generate audio. Okay, so it will get the context, then it will create two podcasters, totally fake. Okay, it'll be like, hi Jane, what do you think about agentic AI? And then Jane will be like, John, this is what I think, and so on. Okay, and they're like talking with each other. So this is us sending one type of information over here, creating other different types of output based on that. Okay, and while it is taking its own sweet time to generate the mind map, probably because we have put in so much information in the book. See, I'll show you um, this video. Okay, I know there is no audio for this right now, which you can hear, but
This is all about
bear with me.
agentic AI, right? We've all gotten pretty used to AI that can chat. You ask it to write an email or maybe brainstorm some ideas, and poof, it does. But that's a responsive tool. The really exciting question that's driving this next wave of innovation is, what happens when AI can go beyond just responding and actually start doing? I mean, imagine an AI that doesn't just suggest a something that can think, reason, and act right
So I
there
know you
with
can't hear
us.
the audio, so I'm
That's the
just kind of
dream.
fast forwarding.
So let's
So there are
really
different
see.
types
They
of,
might instead of the
it's an
AI
animated
just thinking up a
presentation,
plan in a
to be very
vacuum
frank.
and
It's not
spitting it
really a
out,
traditional
an
video.
agent that
It's an
uses this
animated
framework for your
presentation with
calendar to
audio
book
overview,
meetings.
but it has done a good job. I didn't have to do anything over here besides go to Notebook LM and say, create a video overview on this topic. It did that. I only had to write my content once. And after that, it is able to go through that content. It has some tools to generate audio. It has some tools to create the PPT. It has some tools to go ahead and stitch them together, create the animated presentation. It has tools to go ahead and generate the mind map. Okay. So overall, what has happened is these tools have been built, and then Google is like, you do whatever you want to it. You put in whatever source you want. We'll handle it. Right. So this is agentic AI, a good example. Notebook LM. Hmm. It was creating a mind map of the entire content. Exactly. Correct. Hmm. Hmm. You can. But in that case, there is a commercial offering. This is free, by the way. There's a commercial offering from Google called as Agent Space, where you can then connect it with your organization's official data sources. And then you pay for it. Things like something 20 or $30 something per month per user. Okay, has it completed the mind map? Okay, and they have recently added this support for other languages as well. Oh. No, it is just the source. Okay, it's done. You're right. Okay, so see, it has created an interactive mind map over here and has followed the chapter outline which I've done. See, I've tried it with different data sources. Now, obviously, in the book, there is a chapter outline that we have created, a table of contents. But even if you didn't do that, it will go through it, put concepts together with other related concepts, comes up with that, so that then you're able to figure out what exactly is happening. Right? So let's take a look at this. What is there in Bedrock? Yes, it generates a PDF, I believe. Okay, so generative AI overview. Okay. And then you can click on it to go ahead and say that, okay, tell me more about this particular subtopic. Okay, so see how this is a very useful agentic AI application, right? It is able to go ahead and handle different types of requests, different types of modality. There is grounding. This is a very fine example of what an agentic AI application should be like. One minute. There is. So in the free version, I believe you are limited to 25 data sources or 30, something like that. Okay, and there are also limit to how big a file you can upload over there. But then those are limits which are enforced on the free version. The commercial version has higher limits, but then see those are all just because you want to go ahead and minimize cost. on the supplier side, which is Google. Like that. Okay, so this is an example. Just wanted to show that. Is it a good application? Okay. What if I told you that we have had kids working in my team, okay, like interns, okay, so who are studying in college and then who have built out similar backends in just 3 to 4 weeks? Okay. Is that easy to do? It's easy to do because frameworks have now made it easy. Okay, and I'll show this video, but then once again, you will not be able to hear the audio. I'll send it out on Discord later on. So I'll just let this play.
Hello and welcome. In this demo, I will walk you through my internship
So
project
there's this
at
girl,
Persistent
Sanika,
Systems,
who
where
before
I
she was
explored the
interning with
power
us,
of agentic AI
had
using
zero
the Agno
experience with
framework.
GenAI.
My
Okay.
project
Now
focused
some
on
part of this
building a
UI is obviously
multi-source
based out of
AI
the frameworks,
workflow,
Agno
a
framework.
lightweight system
Okay.
inspired
She
by
just went
Notebook
ahead and
LM
built this out
that uses
3 weeks,
intelligent
I guess,
agents
three
to
to four
process
weeks max.
content from
No
PDFs,
experience with
web
AI and
pages,
so on before
YouTube
that.
videos, and raw text. Structured, created by agents using
Ended up creating a podcast. They were like summarize the YouTube. See, the UI wasn't that fancy, but which is fine, which is a different thing altogether. So we are here to focus on how to build
The
agentic
result
applications.
is an automatically generated summary. The
So she
system
was getting that
extracts
she was
key
like create
concepts
a
and
mind map,
relationships to create us in the web page, helping users understand the content at
okay, summarize and give a podcast.
Tech enthusiasts. So, what exactly is an operating system? It's the software that manages computer hardware.
Okay. All right. So that is the point that I wanted to make. That because of the raw power available to us through LLMs and also the convenience that is afforded to us through frameworks, we can build out applications like Notebook LM. Okay. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? I mean, so we can do a lot more. The enterprises, yes, they do find value in applications like that, but there's so many other problems that need to be solved. Customers are coming to us and saying, we want you to build out applications that can go ahead and solve our infrastructure issues on cloud automatically. Okay, the same kind of support tickets that are coming in again and again. And they're like bunch of people solving it every day. The same pattern, but this person knows about it. Okay, if that person goes, we don't know what to do. Okay, we are going ahead and saying that, okay, how about we make it easy? Okay, and see, this is, I'm going to talk about both sides. Okay, one is it is going to start with making it easy for the person to go ahead and do their job. But at the same time, like what Father mentioned earlier in the day, right? See, people who learn how to use AI will go ahead and displace the ones who will not know how to use AI. So that will be a trend that will eventually happen, and I would argue it's probably already happening. Anyway, you can take a look at all of that later on. I will go to our slideshow now. Increase the temperature. I'm going to start sweating because of you all now. Okay. All right. Thank you. And somebody wanted the fan. I think ma'am wanted. Huh? Increase. I'm going to. You want to decrease it? 24. Okay. Thank you. I sweat very easily, which is why I need to be cool. All right. So now we're going to take a look at some slides. The slides are also shared. They'll be made available on Discord. Everybody, please install Discord. We'll send the invite for it. Okay. So some of these points will be like refreshers. We might not go through every slide because some of these things we have discussed in detail about the GenAI part. So there's this whole confusion that sometimes people have. Like, what is AI? We just slapped one adjective in front of AI, called it agentic AI. Okay, what is generative AI and all that and so on. So this is like a simple Venn diagram for it. Okay, artificial intelligence is where we are saying that we want to make some non-living entity show signs of intelligence. At the crux, that's it. We are natural intelligence created by God. It's like artificially, we are creating something, this thing to behave like it is smart. Okay, while it is not inherent. That is AI. And it could be whatever, like Microsoft Word. It's in a way, artificial intelligence. It does autocomplete, does spell checks and all that. AI. There is machine learning. Machine learning, and that itself is like a different stream, requires its own dedicated effort and so on. Is where you're, talking about training a model and so on. We're saying this is the input, that is the output. Sometimes you don't have that. You have unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and different stream. But you're creating a model to go out and exhibit some sort of a behavior. You go to Amazon and you're buying some product and it says, do you also want to get this? Because customers who bought this. A recommendation engine based upon a recommendation model. How does it know that? Okay, it knows because other customers who have done that have shown interest in these related products. Right? Simple example of machine learning. Deep learning, where it's like very focused, one particular aspects. You're doing this. Andrew Ng, a very strong voice in the AI space, also the founder of Coursera. He has his website with a tongue-in-cheek name of deeplearning.ai. Okay, which is like about AI and also like deep learning about AI. So it's a very good name as such. So there is that. You'll find courses on that also for a lot of hands-on on variety of things on that. And then you have generative AI. Generative AI. Okay, so before we go to generative AI, right? What used to happen before LLMs and SLMs came to the scene? When you want to create a model, you had to take a boatload of data. Usually, people used to go to Kaggle, right? They used to go to Kaggle or some of these sites where you used to download a lot of data. You used to clean that data. You used to use libraries like pandas and so on to go ahead and say, oh, I'm going to fit this into a proper structured format. And then you run your model on it. You go and train. There'll be a number of epochs. Okay, basically saying that you're training the model and so on. And then you will go ahead and do fitment. You will go ahead and say, oh, this is not right. The output which is coming from the model. So we got to train, train, train. And then finally you end up with a model which can do one thing properly. If you want to use it for another task, you can't. You have to train another model for it. A lot of work, a lot of effort. LLMs came out, which are basically like take the entire planet worth of information, put it, okay, we'll just throw hardware on the problem and we'll go ahead and generate these LLMs, which are multi-skilled. Okay. So now with LLMs, what happens is that is generative AI. Okay, so it's a subset of that. The advantage with LLMs is we don't have to go ahead and train them. Not really. Okay, we do some fine tuning and distillation, which is separate. But usually for most tasks, you do not need to train them. They are pre-trained models. Somebody else trained them. Okay, it's the difference between building a car on your own or just buying a car or renting a car. Okay, we saw that demo. Anybody recognizes the movie? Okay. So this usually comes to my mind. A lot of the young crowd would have probably not heard of this movie or seen it. Okay. So I'll just mention what this is. This movie is all about a virtual world. Okay. A virtual world where in that virtual world, there are people, okay, like real flesh and blood people who are there virtually. And then there are agents. Everybody on this slide is an agent. Okay. The most notable one being Agent Smith. Okay. So in that world, these agents and humans are just interacting with each other, interfacing and so on. But there's a difference. Okay, these agents, they just move very fast. They can replicate. Okay, they have enormous tendency to go ahead and absorb whatever information is thrown at them, and they can do things very efficiently. And also, they lack emotion. Okay, those are the differences. This is what we see happening even now. Okay, in our software world, we are going to see more and more agents come up. So you already interacted with one or more agents. Maybe they are not like Gen AI, LLM powered agents, but at least some traditional AI. You go to any website, you know, Geo or Hotstar, or it's the same thing now, okay, or Amazon. Before you talk to a human, you're usually greeted by, "Hi, I'm Macy, I'm a bot." Okay, something of that sort, right? Okay, where it's not a real person. Okay, it's a bot which is taking care of the initial queries. And then sometimes when it is not able to handle some amount of complexity, it's like, I'll go get someone. Okay. Okay, so this is already happening. Now it is going to happen more and more with more amount of responsibilities getting handed over to agents gradually. As and when we keep solving for these problems of hallucinations and accuracies, reliability, more responsibilities will be handed over to these agents. It is whenever you have spoken to Amazon support, how easy is it to get hold of a real person? Not really, right? Because even Amazon is like, see, the thing about agents is you don't need to pay them. They don't come to you asking for a pay wage increase. Okay, I need to be promoted. No, they don't. They're like there in their corner on a GPU just doing their work. Okay, it is easier for companies to do that. Okay, just go ahead and offload more activity over there. Okay, and when suddenly you need some sort of reliability, you need some accountability, that is when you bring SMEs into the picture. Okay, I say this only half jokingly. See, you bring a human into the picture when you need somebody who can be sued. Okay, you want to hold somebody accountable, like if something went wrong, this guy needs to be sued. You need an SME over there. Okay, somebody is writing checks. Okay, somebody is prescribing medication. Okay, for those things you need. But gradually, this is going to keep on happening. I remember having this very uh, prominent doctor address our crowd once, a medical doctor. Okay, he was saying that pretty soon it might happen that if a doctor prescribes medication without having a second opinion taken from an AI, maybe that will not be normal. Maybe that will be required. Probably that happens. Okay. Now, what is an agent? There are three main characteristics over here. There should be some amount of autonomy. It should be able to handle things on its own. At least some tasks it should be able to do on its own. Autonomy. Okay. There should be goal orientedness. Every agent should have a very clear goal. This is what I'm supposed to do. Not like an LLM, which doesn't have a purpose for existing in life. Okay, it is just there. You ask me to translate, twinkle, twinkle, little star in French, I'll do that. Not like that. Okay, an agent is very goal oriented. This is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, there is the decision making part of it. So it might have multiple options to choose from. The agent should be able to go and choose one of those options. This is what an LLM is used for. Okay. So now while I'm very generically calling this as an agent, this is what a smart agent is. You might also have agents which can be simple agents, not smart agents, which just do very basic stuff. Okay. For example, let's say there was an agent for sending emails. Very basic. There is no LLM required for that. If the agent was to also go draft the email content and then send email, then it is a smart agent. Okay, so very simple. If you're using LLM to power the agent, it is a smart agent. If you're not using it, it's a simple agent. Okay, I'll also say that, see, these are like my definitions. Okay, there will be other places where you go ahead and see. They might be using the same kind of nouns and so on, but maybe slightly different. Okay? Just like if you look at the world of microservices, there is no standard definition that, oh, this is what a microservice is. Every organization has their own flavor of defining it. So similarly, agentic AI and agents also, it will be like, okay, slightly different, maybe. If you go to Anthropic side, they'll have a different way of explaining it. You come to my book over here, it's a different way. Okay, but on the core tenets, the core principles are the same. Okay. Now, before agentic AI came onto the scene, there was narrow AI. Okay, we didn't call it narrow AI at that time, we were just calling it Gen AI. But we use this term now more prominently to go ahead and distinguish non-agentic AI application where LLM is still being used from otherwise agentic AI. What is the difference? See, when we, for if you keep aside AI for a part, okay, or machine learning or models for a while, and just take a look at traditional software, we always know what that software is going to do. Okay, for example, let's take a calculator. Okay, if you were to go ahead and open up the calculator on your machines and then you were to put in some numbers and so on, it is created in software. That's a software application. But based upon the input, even without actually running it, you can actually go ahead and predict what the answer is going to be if you're good in maths, right? But that's the thing, right? You know what that calculator is going to do because it has been coded out. There is no aspect of non-determinism. Suddenly, it is not, your calculator is not going to say 2 plus 3, I think it is 6. It won't say that, right? Now, when we took a look at the example of me going to Claude and saying that draft an email for me, it drafted an email reasonable. If I ask it to draft it again, or if you were to ask it, or if maybe I went to ChatGPT and asked it, the same prompt, will it always give the same emails? It will give like a different variation. Will it be like more or less the same? Probably will be, right? Okay, but it is not going to be exactly the same. See, that is the fundamental non-determinism angle of LLMs. It is not always going to give you the same thing. It might be similar. So if I went to Notebook LM and I said, summarize that book once again, it is not going to give everything word to word the same summary. It's going to be slight variations here and there. Okay, so that is the non-determinism part that we have to deal with once we choose to go ahead and use LLMs. Okay. Now, narrow AI is where you get non-determinism in the output. It's like I asked for an email to be drafted, he gave me slightly different email content. Fine, acceptable. Agentic AI is where you are saying we are not going to code out the overall process of the application. We are not going to say do this first, then do this, then do this, then do this. Overall, this is what it is going to be like. There are going to be different agents, each with a very specific goal, but there is also going to be decision making in the loop in this overall workflow, because of which the overall workflow itself is non-deterministic. You get it? It's a subtle difference, but an important one. In narrow AI, we are talking only about the content can change. Okay, the end output, the final output. But the path that it takes. Okay, if I'm saying that, okay, I've coded out the application, it has to walk here, walk here, walk here, and then go there. That is narrow AI. But if I'm saying that, okay, you have to exit the room, figure out, you can go from here, go from there, go from there, you can break a window and jump out. See, that is where the overall workflow itself is non-deterministic. And Notebook LM in a way is agentic, right? Because the overall workflow, all the interaction with the user are not coded out beforehand. We are saying that they are tools. They are tools for going ahead and ingesting the YouTube video. They are tools for ingesting PDFs. They are tools for generating a mind map, for generating a video. Okay. And it is able to go ahead and handle all of those based upon the scenario. Okay. How many over here have used GitHub Copilot? GitHub Copilot. Okay. All right. Okay. So relevant example for those folks. And I'll just talk a little bit about what GitHub Copilot is. So now when you have, everybody has VS Code in front of them, right? So there is an extension, GitHub Copilot, and we'll be installing this probably tomorrow, or if we have time today, later on. So it is basically like an autocomplete, but when you're trying to type in code. So now when you go to WhatsApp and you're saying like, good. Okay, it might go ahead and say day, morning. It shows you that ghost text over there for autocomplete. GitHub Copilot started with a very simplistic premise over there, where it was saying, okay, you're typing in something. I know usually what follows this word. Let me go ahead and help complete that. The other way was that somebody could write in natural language. I want to go ahead and send an email. I want to create a function for sending an email. It will write those 3-4 lines of code automatically for you. Okay, maybe because you don't know the language, okay, and you need some help, or maybe You know the language, but you don't want to type, okay, because you're all lazy. Okay, so that is where it was doing a little bit of autocomplete. That is how it started. It was narrow AI. Okay, the productivity improvement that it brought to the people who were using it was moderate. Was it helpful? It was, but not like amazing. It wasn't that suddenly you were doing 1 year's work of work in 2 days. That wasn't happening. Maybe instead of using 5 hours for coding something, you would be finishing it off in maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. Then they added an agent mode in GitHub Copilot. Now, in agent mode, what you do is you go ahead and select that from the drop down, and then you go ahead and say, this is what I want to build. Okay, maybe I want to build a small website. It will go ahead and actually create all of those files for you separately. Okay, it will, in some cases, it will also go ahead and check for any errors in the code. It can run that for you. You can take a look at what is wrong in your command line, and then you can go ahead and fix that. Okay, that is the difference between agentic AI and narrow AI. Okay, when you go over there to the side of agentic, things become more unpredictable. The pathway that is chosen by your application becomes more non-deterministic. The productivity that you get, the boost, that also increases, okay, if done right. Okay. Okay. Now, until like about maybe 3, 4 months ago, okay, if you were to go to ChatGPT or Claude, and then you ask it about like what are the what is the recent news between India and US and so on, it will not really know that. It didn't have any connection to the internet. Okay, there was a foundational model which was trained on whatever had happened up to that point, and then it was like hosted on some GPU in a cloud. It knew only till that point. Okay, so when like ChatGPT was launched, if you would go ahead and ask it about say recent movie releases or maybe recent versions of some library or what has happened in the news, it will not know about it. Okay, it will tell you about what had happened by the time that the underlying model was trained, which is also called as a knowledge cutoff date for that model. Okay, because beyond that it doesn't know anything. For it, it is still like living in 3 months in the past. Because model training is not a very easy process. It takes time. It consumes money and effort. Okay. But then we also started realizing that, hey, this is not serving a lot of use cases. People want to know what is happening now. So there was a very simple implementation of agentic AI over here, where pretty much all of the LLM providers now have this sort of a tool where they have gone ahead and added internet capability, right? So, and I would probably ask everybody to go ahead and try this. Go to Claude.ai, CLAUD.ai. I have no affiliation with them. They just chose the name because it is so amazing. Okay, so Claude, CLAUDE.ai, and ask it about what are the recent developments on the US India tariff scene. CLAUDE.ai. Everybody's there? Sign up. Sign up, please. Sign in using continue with Google. You can use your Google credentials, etc. Sign in. It's a free tool. If anybody is facing a problem, please let me know. CLAU. Okay. Oh, it is stuck, is it? Let me try closing it and starting it again. And .ai. Now, Ask her for, what are the recent developments on the India-US tariff war. If anybody's already done with it, let me know. Shall I switch on the fan or no? No? Okay, all right, fine. Small fan. Wow. Got it? What was the answer if you could read out? Okay. What is like the essence of it? Okay. So now see, here is the important part, right? See, first it said, I'll search for recent information. Expand that, please. Yeah. See, the model underlying this, which is the model, by the way, which was used for this over here, Claude Sonnet 4. Okay. That is the model that has been used. And it has performed a bunch of search search queries as such on the internet. Okay, you can try opening up one of them maybe. Yeah, any one on top. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So it is going to actual valid internet sources. Exactly. So that is your citation and so on. Correct. So similarly over here, it has. No, that's not how it is. The cutoff date would be somewhere in the past, but it is performing a search. Okay. And based upon the search result, it is just saying that, hey, this is what I have as of this date. Yes, so this is not the cutoff date. This is not the cutoff date. This is going beyond the cutoff date of the LLM. The LLM cutoff date would probably when it was released, when the model was released. So Sonnet 4 came out like some 2-3 months ago. So the training data for it probably would have been like at least 1 month before that, because it will take time to go out and train. So what date would this be, but this is not current, right? This is the there's not a technical term for this, but this is like based upon the data sources that it found. The most relevant information, the most recent information that it found was around August 27th. I would find different information if I would refer to ChatGPT. Yes, you can try that out also if you want. Okay. So if you scroll up, it will be somewhere. It will be. Just go to the top of the answer. See, those are some 10 results over there. Yeah, so these are different models which are available. Okay, so this is from the company called Anthropic. And Anthropic has always named their models as Claude. So there's a Claude family of models. And then there is Sonnet, there is Opus, and then there is, what is the Limerick or what is it? Haiku. Haiku. Okay, so it is based upon that, like haiku is like a short poem, right? A Japanese thing. Okay, like 4 or 8 lines. So it is small model. Sonnet is 16 lines of poetry, I believe. Okay, so that's like mid-level, and then Opus is like, you really want your model to give you a very chatty answer. Okay, so if I need a visual function, like I have to select whatever model. Correct. And this is the free version which you're using. It obviously comes with a paid plan. So if you want to use some of the state-of-the-art models, you need to pay up. Okay. So we'll obviously stick to the free models as of now. That serves our purpose. So I believe everybody has tried this out, right? Okay. What you would be seeing is that the model realized that, hey, I don't have all the information that is required to go ahead and answer this query. So let me go ahead and do a web search. Let me do a web search, and then I will come back with the answer. Very simple use of tools. Okay, what is the tool which was used over here? A web search. As simple as that. Okay. So if you were to depict that over here, they can say that this code, right, this agentic AI code is your Claude desktop or Claude AI. Okay, that is what it is. This is powered by the LLM. Okay, and like Siddesh was asking, what is the cutoff date? So it would probably be like 3 or 4 months in the past. Okay? So it doesn't know anything about what Mr. Trump is saying about this now. Okay, it doesn't know that. It was trained on the prior information. When we asked it a more recent query, it is saying, let me go ahead and search. What if Tably? It is one of the options in which you can do programmatic search. Okay, what is Anthropic really using over there? We don't know. And once again, we are not bothered. It's just doing. If we were to build out our own application for this, we can use Tably. There's DuckDuckGo, there is Wikipedia search, there is Google search. There are different types of programmatic search engines available for this. So what is happening over here is Claude AI is saying, let me go ahead and make a search, goes to the internet, gets information out, adds that information to the prompt which was asked, sends it to the LLM, which is Claude Sonnet 4 in the default model of choice, and then comes up with the answer. See that exact phrase that you have in your answers, and everybody's answer is once again going to be different, even though you're all chatting with the same model. See, this is also the non-determinism aspect of it. Right? What is happening is the paragraphs that you might have over there are not exactly present word by word in all of those web articles. I saw Washington Post on somebody's web search results. Okay, but everybody has probably got 10 results. Okay, now who configured 10? The people who built out Claude. Okay, the people who built all the websites said, go perform a search, get only the top 10 results, do it based on that. So that once again is like an agentic application. Okay? Now, to add, I don't want to make things complex, but for the sake of completeness, there's something else also which is happening. Okay. Now, in the previous diagram, we were talking about the tool being added on the client side. Now, LLM providers are taking this step towards adding tools on the LLM side. Okay, so when I said earlier that LLMs have their cutoff date, Anthropic themselves have added, I believe, as of now, 3 tools. Okay, on the LLM side, they are saying that you don't bother. You don't bother about going ahead and searching the internet and doing that. We will do it for you. You just make an LLM call. You make an LLM call, we'll do the LLM search, the internet search, if we determine that it is required, and then we'll give you the response. So it is, see, why is this happening? See, once again, everybody is catering to laziness. Okay, now it is catering towards the laziness of agentic AI developers saying that, why are you bothering going ahead and getting a Tavily key, adding that in your code? We'll do it for you. What's in it for them? They're going to charge for every web search that happens. And then obviously there's a stickiness. Now there's going to be a race for all the LLM providers to provide the similar kind of functionality. Earlier, these were all commoditized products. You could swap Claude with GPT 3.4 or a 4, right? Now it is like, oh, if I go with Anthropic, they are providing me web search. There's also Python code generation as part of that itself, I believe now. Okay, so now they are adding these, I can't say freebies, but these shiny objects on their side. So it is overall making it convenient for agentic AI developers when they use their product. Okay. It is like previously it was a toy with get your own batteries. Now it is like AA batteries included. Okay. It's like that. So convenience thing, nothing magical happening over here. They have added the tools on their side. Okay. Now, how does an agent actually go ahead and interact with its environment, figure out the tools to use? How does it respond to the user? Okay, we need to program that. This is not something that happens automatically. So there are 2 main philosophies in which you can go ahead and do this. It all boils down to how do you create a prompt How do you attach tools to an agent? Which LLM do you use to power it and so on? Two main philosophies. One of them is React. The other one is Codact. For people already familiar with the React JS framework, this has got nothing to do with that. Okay, so there's a front-end framework called React. It's not that. Okay, for whatever reason, the people who published this white paper called it React because reason and action. React. They could have chosen something else, but nevertheless. So what happens over here? It's a very basic philosophy where you're saying that this is the goal. So we already saw that for an agent, it is important for us to go ahead and set a goal. This is what the agent exists for. This is what the agent is supposed to do. You then go ahead and equip it with a brain. Okay, an agent by itself in any framework, LangGraph or Bedrock agents or LangFlow is just an empty shell. There's nothing special about it. It's just a container. Okay, imagine it like a robot shell, but nothing inside. You're first going to supply it with a brain. That is going to be your LLM. So you're going to take a model, you're going to hook that in to your agent. Okay, and pretty much every framework over there will have a provision to go ahead and set a model. You're going to take a model, an LLM, you're going to attach it to your agent. That model is going to act as its brain. Right? Clear? Basic, right? Now, every robot needs hands and feet to move about, eyes to see, speak, etc. Those are your tools. So we decide what kind of tools to equip that agent with. Do we want that agent to go ahead and send emails? Add an email sending tool. Do you want that agent to know about our, say, financial transactions? Connect it to our bank account. Okay? If you wanted to be able to go ahead and do things on, say, I want to build an agent to go ahead and post on my behalf on my website, I can build it. I can go ahead and then I'll need to have some sort of an API, okay, some sort of a programmatic method for me to go ahead and push things onto the website. I have to give it that tool. Okay. So those are your tools which you go ahead and equip your agent with. Every framework out there, every agentic AI framework will have a technique using which you will bind your tools to your agent. You can give it zero tools sometimes because maybe it is just powered by the LLM and giving some output out. Okay, maybe it is generating an image. That's all that you want from that agent. Maybe you want to do something more. So you give it 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, as many as you want. There are obviously limits. Okay, but you can do whatever you want. The LLM will start running into issues of selecting the right tool if you just dump a lot of tools on a single agent. So be mindful of that. Okay? Usually that number is around like 20. Okay, if you go beyond 20, it might get confused among the tools. Okay, and when we are assigning these tools, we'll also say, here is this tool. This is the name of the tool. This is what the tool can be used for. Okay, so a tool can be for, say, sending an email, like we saw in the previous very simple example, right? Different tasks, different capabilities. So let's say I want to build a personal assistant bot. Okay, say I want to build it for myself. Okay, and I wanted to be able to do lots of things, like maybe if somebody messages me on LinkedIn, okay, and some questions I just wanted to go ahead and answer. Okay, and then for the complex ones come to me. I'll go ahead and build one particular tool, which will be like get messages from LinkedIn. Okay, and then maybe another tool which will be like look at my prior responses. Okay, another tool which will then go ahead and post that message back. Right? So these will be tools. So tools can be then clubbed together, and that is where we'll see these agents forming. It's like one agent is like a LinkedIn agent. Okay, so in my whole personal assistant bot or agentic AI workflow, maybe one agent is LinkedIn agent. Another agent could probably be responding to my emails. Okay, so maybe there's like a email agent which connects to Zoho replies over there. There could be one which could probably connect to WhatsApp. See, I'm just giving very simplistic example instead of going for enterprise grade. So it's easy for everybody to understand. But these are your different agents. Now, when we're talking about these agents, there is one agent which I'm not clearly mentioning, which is the planner agent. So if all of these agents are focused on one particular goal, there needs to be one agent which is acting like the manager on top of this and says, this is what the request came as. Which agent do I pick and ask it to complete this task? That is your planner agent. Okay, so we look at some of these architectures going forward, but the tools are basically connected to what kind of functionality you want to implement. Exactly. You're right. You're right. And that is the same philosophy that is used by some of the frameworks out there. So there is a framework out there called Crew AI, CREW, Crew AI, which is the same thing. It builds crews. Okay, not the cruise lines. Get like cruise. Okay, where it's like here is a crew, here are the team members. Each one does this, and this team attacks this goal. There is also AutoGen, which is from Microsoft, where you once again go ahead and create a conversation of agents. These agents talk with each other. Okay, so the essence of it, those frameworks have chosen the philosophy of creating these teams of different agents talking with each other. Okay, but that's essentially what happens. So tools can be anything. It can be from sending an email, connecting to your bank. It can be connecting to a database. Anything that can be programmatically done, you can do it through a tool. It could be anything. There are built-in tools. For example, the Tavily example of the Google search, which I spoke about, there are different libraries in which there are pre-built tools already available. So you can use those tools to do to achieve the goal without you writing the code. Somebody else has written the code. The code still needs to be written. Pre-built tool, somebody else has written the code, you go ahead and choose it and use it. In other cases, you write the tool. Okay, you write it on your own. And different frameworks will provide different ways in which can implement the tools. Most of the tools out here, okay, will be in Python frameworks. So you'll end up writing in Python. Okay, when we go to Bedrock, we'll see something where you can write it in Java, Node.js, and so on. Okay, so we'll go to some details later on. You can write it in pretty much any language. Reason. See, now this is the reasoning aspect of the agent. Okay, where it is saying that, okay, this is my goal. This is what I was programmed to do. This, these are the list of tools available to me. Now, I need to go ahead and figure out which tool to use when. Okay, so it is like you don't use a hammer to drive in a screw. You use a screwdriver. Okay, so you don't just pick whatever tool you have and like, ham, right? Okay, so that picking the appropriate tool for the task at hand, that is a part of reasoning. Sometimes it might just be as simple as, oh, I have to choose one of these tools and hit it. Sometimes it will be like, no, first you use this tool, do that, use this other tool, do this, send a call to the LLM, do this, again pick another tool, do this, ask the user for confirmation, then complete the task. So all of that is part of your planning process or reasoning. This is an agent. This is the underlying portion of an agent. The reasoning part will be done powered by an LLM. Okay, so we'll see a concrete example of this. See, what we are looking is how does an agent work? Okay, so we are kind of inside an agent right now. Okay, so an agent is programmed with a goal. This will usually be in a system prompt. These are available actions through tools. This is what the LLM is doing. Okay, and part of it will be portion of the goal where you're saying that, okay, the step-by-step instruction as Francina mentioned, right? Okay, so we are going to use LLM to go ahead and actually do it. Okay? React, reason and act. Okay, this is another representation of it. You can read more about this aspect in the book. It will make a couple of things more clear. The same thing represent a different manner. Code act. Actually, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this and uh, kind of erase some of the foundational work that have been done already. This is not very important, the Kodak part. This is a very special use case. Maybe I'll spend some time. Okay, so what happens in some cases, calling the LLM for figuring out which tool to use next can be a very costly operation. Okay, sometimes, like say, let's take that email example once again. Let's say I have an Excel filled with emails. I want to become a spammer. Okay, and then I want to say that everybody I'm going to send a offer, maybe about my book. Okay, one way is that I can say, oh, go through this Excel, figure out who's the right candidate to go ahead and email, create an email, and then send it. And then I give it maybe two tools. Okay, one tool is for reading the Excel, one tool is for sending the email, and the other portion is just happening through LLM. Simple agent can be done. So it will go through the Excel, figure out one record, send an email. Again, make an LLM call. Okay, figure out what is the next plan. Do that. Okay, and depending upon the framework, this can happen multiple times. An easier way would just have been where I say that write some code for this. Okay, see, LLMs are not just good at tool invocation; they can also write code. So we can ask the LLM that, hey, see, here is the send email function. Here is the Excel. Go through it, create a for loop. Create a for loop and just send it out. So that way we are making the LLM call probably only once. It creates a Python code which will call the tool again and again and again. So this reminds me of that one comic which I've seen where the teacher tells the student to write, I will not misbehave in class 100 times, and the kid just writes, for I equal to 0, I less than 100, and like that. There's a for loop for going ahead and writing it. So what we are doing over here is, behaving like that kid. We are saying that we will not use LLM to go ahead and figure out the next tool to call. We'll go ahead and use LLM to create code which calls the tools. Okay, don't worry if you're not understood this aspect. This is a very specialized application of React in a way. Okay, but not very necessary for you to understand as of now. Agents are Do agents interact with each other? They can, and usually we want to. So if there is a multi-agent workflow, we will go ahead and create some sort of orchestration between the different agents. We would do that. Okay. So I'll talk about this, and then maybe we'll talk about the different types of workflows. But I would want to focus on that for tomorrow, probably. So let's look at this. So different types of agents. One is the planner agent. Okay. You want to ask something? So one is a planner agent where we are saying that the request comes in. The planner agent has a bunch of agents, like minion agents with it, right? Where it says that, oh, this is the goal. I know that this agent can deal with my LinkedIn. This agent can deal with my emails. I will route it to the appropriate agent. That is the planner agent. It is like a manager in the team. Okay, it's like a manager in the team who's getting paid for, like routing things here and there, making sure nothing, goes wrong, like that. And sometimes it's more complicated than just routing, right? Sometimes it's also about like, oh, here is the overall objective. Now, see if you look at the music conductors, like Zubin Mehta and so on. Okay, they are standing over there and they are not playing any instrument. They are not like, playing the flute and also doing this, right? They are just, waving that wand around here and there. And the rest of the orchestra is like, oh, he's saying this, let me do this. See, instead of that, imagine if we were to naively think that, uh, he's not required. Okay, and we say, you go take a back read, you're not playing any musical instrument, you're not required on the stage. You all are the real stars. Okay, everybody play. It will be chaotic, right? Because people will not know which tune when they might not be in sync. That's his whole job. He's to conduct it over there. So similarly, the planner agent over here might seem like it is not important, but it is. It comes up with the plan. It also goes on and breaks up the overall problem into smaller sub-problems, which each sub-agent can then go ahead and tackle. That is its reason for existing. It will break it down into small tasks and say, you do this, you do this, you do this. And after you are done with that, go back, talk to her, compile your list again, then send it back. All that planning, the scheming part, planner agent. Okay. Usually we'll have this guy where in the workflow? Closer to the user or away from the user? Closer to user. Usually in a complex agentic workflow, this guy is the agent which is talking with the user. He is interfacing. He is going ahead and figuring out what does the user want. Okay, so in our notebook LM example, there is that chatbot or like that text field where we go ahead and click, or that mind map button and so on. So all of that finally probably goes to a mind map, to a planner agent. We say, okay, do I call the YouTube ingester agent? Do I call the mind map generation agent? It does all of that routing. A RAG agent. What does RAG stand for? Okay, good. Okay. So now this is a very common type of agent where you're saying that, hey, there is some relevant information that we have, which the models don't have. Okay. So you go look up that information, give it back to us. Right? Very simple, right? Where you're saying that, oh, go get that information. That is all that I want this agent to do. See, can we also combine these two? Like you plan and then you do RAG? You can. Do you want to usually? Why? Exactly. An agent should have a very specific goal. Okay. See, now if you look at an institute, an organization, and so on, say there are different roles, right? There is a principal, there is a teacher, there is an admin staff. Not everybody is doing it. It's not like, hey, we are one team. Okay, the institute success is our success. Do whatever you have to. Okay, it's not like that. There's like there are specific goals. And yes, sometimes people might go outside of their prescribed job boundaries to help out other teams. But there's a main goal. Like you do this, by you doing this, you're helping the overall organization. Okay. You get my point? So that is how we are supposed to go about this while defining agents. We are going to take these amorphous LLMs, put them into these molds and say, this is what you're supposed to do. RAG. You, sir, do only RAG. You are only taking care of planning. Okay. We're going to do that. Reflection. Okay. Reflection is about us having the LLM take a look at what it did and going ahead and saying, is this proper? Okay. Now this might seem pointless. Okay. And I had, customers ask me about this sometimes. Now you ask the LLM to generate some content and then you're asking LLM to again review that content. What do you expect to find in that? Okay. And the usual example that I've used to explain this point to customers is this. Being like, John, when you write an email, do you usually check it before you send it out? So like, yes, but you wrote that email. Why are you checking it then? Okay, the thing is, the same LLM was now functioning in a different mode. Earlier, John was writing the email. He was focused on creating. The second phase of reviewing, he's now critiquing. He's reviewing whatever he created, right? And this happens with us. I know from personal experience, and most of you would also, like you can review your own work and then find flaws in it because we have overlooked it while we were actually creating stuff. And that is the whole point, okay, of using reflection over here as well. You can use LLMs to double check their work. And there are like white papers available on this where you can use a smaller model, okay, which is not able to handle more complex tasks, to go ahead and review its own work and match the same level of quality or standard of higher models. So with just two small short calls, you are able to actually, and inexpensive calls, you are able to actually meet the same quality of more expensive models. Okay, and in other scenarios where we want to go ahead and reduce errors, we can use reflection as a very common technique to go ahead and remove whatever errors can be eliminated. Make sense? Okay, so wherever you want to go ahead and have LLM check its own stuff, you do that. Now, is this enough? Having LLMs check their own work? No. Which is why we have this little human in the loop. Okay, when all else fails with agents, add somebody who can be held accountable, or like I say, who can be sued. Okay, we add that guy. Everything is done, the process is done. We add this subject matter expert or an SME saying that you take a look at this and sign off. Okay, because we can't fire an agent, but we can for sure fire you. Okay, that's the whole point. Okay, and see, maybe I'm saying it in a very flippant manner, but there are several cases where we can't afford to make mistakes. Okay, what if you are going ahead and using an agentic workflow for prescribing medication, or there's insurance claims that are coming in? Okay, and you need a claim adjudicator, the guy who looks at all the insurance claim documents, saying that, oh, I see Raj was hospitalized for this, he underwent so many treatments, there were some physiotherapy visits, all this happened, and now he's claiming for this. Is it valid, not valid? We don't want the agents to take full control and say declined or approved. We want it to be fair. What we want agents to do is go through that mountain of information which is there and present only the essential points to the adjudicator. Make his life easier. See, software by itself is overall worthless unless it makes somebody's life easy. Okay? Everything else over here on the stack can still be used as a paperweight or as be scrapped or something like that. Software by itself is useless unless it is making somebody's life easy. Similarly, over here, right? See, what we are saying is agentic AI, it needs to go ahead and make somebody's life easy. Instead of the claim adjudicator, going through 20 documents and then figuring out, oh, this is what has happened, and having that whole cognitive load, that burnout, you're going to make it easy. And this is not some fictitious example, by the way. We have done this for customers. I've looked at personally some of my customers' documents where they have done this for them, where like for one claim, they're like 20 documents. 20 documents about, I've seen this one particular case, some dude, Patrick or someone who was a USPS, a US Postal Service employee who was carrying all of that, and then he had a shoulder problem, and then his entire case studies over there, like how he was recommended by his physician to go meet a physiotherapist, and then the physiotherapist on each visit, what did he mention, what was the range of motion for him, what happened, and so on. All of these visits, which happened over a period of like 2 months, the claim adjudicator is supposed to go through and then arrive at the decision of whether we approve his claim or not. See, imagine the life of this claim adjudicator. He's going through this, he's done with Patrick, and then like Tina or someone else. They're doing this again and again and again and again. Is there room for error? Of course there is, right? So it's flesh and blood. He's gonna get tired. Okay, is he gonna like look forward to job like Monday I get to look at more case studies? No, right? So you want to make it easier for people overall. And that is the power that is available through agentic AI. Okay. Any questions? We go into this. Okay. All right. Now see, what we looked at so far has been like Lego blocks. Okay, I've shown you like, oh, here's an LLM, here's an agent, here is a tool. Okay, that's pretty much what I've done. Now we are going to take a look at what all can we build using Lego blocks. And like when you buy the Lego bricks, right? You get that catalog. Like, hey, you can make a ship, you can make a pirate ship, you can make an airplane, and all that, right? So similarly, I'm going to show you some things in the catalog which are not super specific, but which are like indicators of what can be done. And we'll use these terms. Okay, so we are always talking in terms of this when we discuss more complex things. Single agent, multiple tools. Very easy. Your entire workflow. So by the way, I've not really defined workflow over here, but I hope it was clear. The whole thing that we end up building using these Lego bricks, that is the workflow. It could have one agent, it could have more than one agent. If you're not having one agent, then it is not agentic AI. Okay, but that's pretty much it. So the basic is you have single agent, you can have even like zero tools. Okay, just a simple wrapper, a hello world kind of agent. Single agent, multiple tools. One way of doing things. What are the other options? Multiple agent, multiple tools. Okay, very simple. Okay, and this is where you have, like I believe Sumita asked. Okay, so agents talking with each other. Okay, and what kind of an agent would this be? It's a planner agent. Okay, and see the reason for me putting like a, obviously these are like what I could find in PowerPoint to create these images. There's like a hammer over here, scissor over there, so different types of tools. The idea is that you do not need to have a universal set of tools available for all of your agents in your single workflow. You can segregate them. You can say that I have 6 tools. This agent gets 2, that agent gets 2, that agent gets 2. And you can always have something like everybody gets this particular tool. Okay, so it's up to you. See, the options are limitless. It is up to you. Okay, you want to use the red Lego brick on the blue Lego brick, however you want to do it. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, I'm going to teach you the basics of how to go ahead and build it out. You can go ahead and use it, structure it in whatever way you want. Okay. Okay. Next, we'll look at some adjectives for going ahead and describing different types of agentic AI systems. Okay. So now, taking like a step back. Okay, say if you have to describe a chair, okay, we'll be like, oh, it's a dining chair, it's an office chair. Okay, we can describe it based upon the color. We can describe it based upon the material, wooden chair, metal chair, and so on. But the essence, everything is a chair, right? So similarly over here, agentic AI workflows, there are different types of them. Okay, and you could have 2 adjectives combined also, right? You could have like a wooden dining chair. Okay, similarly over here, I'm going to show you some adjectives which can be used to qualify an agentic AI system. Why am I doing this? So that we are using the same words when we go ahead and discuss some things later on. Okay, so one way to go ahead and describe agentic AI system is based upon the workflow. Okay, the way in which the agents are structured one after the other. Sequential. One agent, another agent, another agent. Okay, sequential. You might even go back to the narrow AI versus agentic AI part and say, this is a classic case of narrow AI, isn't it? It is. Probably the non-deterministic part over here, which tool the agents might choose, right? But still, nonetheless, type of agentic AI. Hierarchical. Okay, like we saw in the multiple agent, multiple tools part. One planner agent, a lot of them under them. And see, you can have hierarchical agent where this agent also is a planner agent, a sub-planner agent. And then you can have multiple other agents over here. One of those agents could be like a sequential agent workflow. See, you can club all of these together. I'm not saying do it without a goal, but there will be cases where you need to do it. A complex network. Okay, where they're like just a bunch of agents, like agents assemble. Okay, do your stuff. Okay, and some frameworks lean more towards this, like Crew AI and Autogen and so on. They're just grouping things together and saying do it. So one way of going ahead and describing an agentic AI workflow is based upon the workflow type. Okay. Invocation types. Okay, proactive, reactive. Okay, reactive means this got nothing to do with that react. Okay, this is about like, hey, something happened, a trigger came in and then it is doing something. Proactive is where it automatically detected something has gone wrong. Let me go ahead and fix it. Okay, for example, maybe it is taking a look at my website. Okay, and it suddenly sees, oh, the website is not working, the web server is down. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Proactive. Okay. Now there are different ways in which we can go ahead and relinquish control to agents. I mentioned that as we keep making progress on agentic AI side, we are going to keep on giving more and more responsibility to the agents. How much do we give them? Okay, and that is not a question which can be easily answered. Okay, so there are different ways in which we go ahead and trade off control, that is our control over the workflow, versus autonomy of the system. Okay, there's always going to be a trade-off. You can't say I want to stay in full control and I also want my agents to be fully autonomous. These are opposing concepts. Okay, this is on a spectrum. Okay, you have to choose the sweet spot for you for that particular use case. Okay, so micromanage. Okay, like a micromanaging manager. Okay, this is where it is like, this is what I want you to do. At every step, come back to me. I'll tell you whether it is right or not. I know more than you do. Okay, come to me. Okay, right? And this is, see, the pattern which you usually follow with like extremely junior individuals in the team. Okay, you don't want them to go out and reply to the customer directly. Like, tell me what email are you going to draft? Then over a period of time, you relinquish control. Okay? So in some cases, it will be a high impact scenario. Okay? Come to me. Are we going to get a lot of productivity improvements with this system? Not much, because you're always coming to the human. The human, if the human goes on vacation, okay, he went on lunch break, agent is stuck. I'm waiting for your permission, sir. Okay, it's like that. Okay, so it is useful, but productivity improvement is not much. Okay, so micromanage, but it is required when it is a very critical scenario. Delegate and forget. This is the total opposite of that. It's like, I've told you to do it. Don't disturb me. I'll come back tomorrow. This better be done. Okay, delegate and forget. Okay, where this guy does all the planning, self-critiquing, whatever needs to be done over there. Okay, and these are two extremes. What we are usually going to see is the third one: delegate and manage. Like a sweet spot in between, where we say that Mr. Agentic AI workflow, if it is a low impact kind of task, you do it on your own. Don't trouble me. Okay. If it is something high impact, come to me, get my approval, and then we'll do it. Okay. If you are emptying out my bank account, come to me. If you're sending an email to somebody, you do it on your own. Okay. This is that. Easier said than done. It takes a lot of effort in planning this up. See, creating the code for all of these workflows is okay. That is easy. The difficult part is going in and figuring out where do you want to introduce a control? What problems do we need to solve with agentic AI? What kind of tools do we want? Where do we bring in the human? All of that is very difficult. This is a representation of that autonomy versus control. Okay, very easy to interpret. I was hoping somebody would ask that. Okay, so now even for that, if you're saying that delegate and manage, and you want that automatic decision making to be done, see, one of the attributes of the agent is decision making. So then it should be able to go ahead and maybe there is a separate agent for that, a classifier, okay, risk classifier or something, which then goes ahead and uses an LLM to say, hey, is this high risk or low risk? Okay, so that way, and then there should ideally be some few short examples. Okay, good. Okay, we won't go into the metrics and so on. Okay. Um, have we learned something useful today, or is it like, we knew all this? I'm guessing for some individuals, they would have already known this. Otherwise, okay. Following along, is this too much? Is it like, stop talking, Claudius? I'm totally depressed. I don't want to hear you talk about anything again like that. Anybody like that? You can tell me privately about it later. Okay. But say, I would want to hear feedback from you all. That, hey, I'm going slow, I'm going too fast. Some things, just because of the nature of work that I do, not because I'm smarter, just because of the nature of work that I'm doing, some things are very obvious to me. Okay. So I then tend to think that other people also know this. This is obvious, like that. Call it out. Okay. Ask me, like, how will this be done? How will that be done? Please do make a point. Okay. Okay, let's take this as an exercise. Okay, so I want you all to do two things. Let's focus on this first. Let me make it a bit bigger.
Can you use an example on agent relay and the it's
I'll do that, but probably in the next class. We have some case studies, so we'll speak about that. Maybe I'll talk about one very simple example uh, after we do this. Okay. So I want you to use any image generation tool to create an impossible image. Okay. Once I was browsing somewhere and I saw somebody changing a bulb, and the bulb was basically a moon. Okay, our lunar moon. Okay, and what I would want you to do before you go to that, okay, is I think some people at least have paper and so on. Okay, so on that, draw a rough sketch of that image. Draw a rough sketch of that image, and then get whichever image generation tool that you're using to do that. Which image generation tools are there? You can go to sora.chatgpt.com. You can go to Midjourney or on WhatsApp if you want to use your phone, etc. and so on. Okay, but use any tool that you want. But what I want you to do is, I want you to first draw it on paper, roughly. Okay, not very astute. I'm not a good drawer. Okay, but just draw it roughly, whatever you want. Okay, and then you prompt it. Okay, the point over here is I want you all to go ahead and use your prompting skills to get the image generation tool to create something similar to what you have drawn over there. Okay, I want you to really wrestle with that for a while. So I want to see how do you go ahead and describe it, and draw whatever you want. Don't use this example. Okay, use whatever example you want. Okay, but draw something which is like you would want the image generation tool to create. Okay, so you're thinking about it. You want to use ChatGPT to come up with that image. Okay. Anybody who's already done their sketch? You've done a sketch. What is that? Can you explain that to me? It's a sun with.
and it did nothing now.
Okay. And what is that? That's a tree which is happy.
Yeah.
So there's a happy tree and there's a sun on top which is dancing.
Dancing.
Okay. All right. Great. That's good. So you can go to sora.chatgpt.com. I just mentioned that over here. You can go to this URL. You can also go to Grok, Grok this time. So sora.chatgpt.com, and go to grok.com and imagine. You'll have to log in with your Gmail, but it's free. I mean, for limited usages, it is free. You can go over here. There are people who have created all of this. Okay.
What's the other one? Is it solar?
Sora.chatgpt.com, or you can go to Grok, grok.com.
Okay.
I think it is grok.com itself.
Grow. So we have to just go.
Yes, yes. We got the new painter, no?
Faster now.
Okay, this is fine. Yeah. So fine. It is independent of the model. Good question. So we have to go ahead and unearth, we have to examine the request and say ki unearth RAG pannuma India. Illati workflow we'll always do. Ah, ah. So it is not magic. Or we can create a workflow in which every time we are doing RAG based upon the use case. Oi, Chintu, Grace, what have you drawn? Hey, you're supposed to don't skip on that, huh? You're first supposed to draw on paper. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, it's the same stuff, huh? Not supposed to copy that example. Have you drawn something? What is that?
This is a carrot actually,
Uh-huh.
and I want the peacock feather
Ah, nice.
to the carrot.
Okay. What is this?
Bird to fold, and it looks like moon is holding the hand. Some picture, someone is taking picture of someone.
Okay, but that's the same example, no? Okay, that's fine. Have you all drawn something?
Yeah, it's sun getting banned by.
Nice. Okay. Oh, okay. Ambition. What have you drawn? What is that? Okay. Sunset. Sunrise. What is that?
And being a Python and
Oh, okay. What have the boys done here? Sorry? Uh, okay. All right. So you're done that. Gemini use kar liya. Okay. Still generating. What have you drawn? What is this?
There is a metro and there is a Ganesh idol.
In the metro. Okay. Okay. Mid-journey. All right. Oh, you already drawn it? Okay. Good. Quite similar to that. What have you done?
Body parts are an answer.
Okay.
I'm using different body parts. This one, horse, and this one. Four.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
I'm just generating.
Generating the image. You have the. Where's your sketch? College. Okay. Yeah. You can do something. Yeah. You will go open when you Sora chat GPT. What are you doing? Where's your sketch?
I didn't draw it, but I wrote, I can't draw a line or a title. And
Tug of war on a beach in Maldives. Where's your dancing son? So now, if you wanted,
I did so much things. I did only sun dancing about, so it came this way. Then I did, which is about a happy tree, so it came this way. Then again we did about happy smiling tree, so it does. Then I mentioned image of Kanto dancing about a smiling tree. So
Hmm,
then this is.
this is probably the closest.
Yes, yes, this I feel, yeah, yeah.
Very, very.
Wind speed, I was
Uh-huh.
trying to get it.
Mhm.
But
So
yeah,
you'll have to.
obviously it will go here. It was the flow. So I think
So you can try to prompt that. Try to prompt that. What are you doing?
actually I drew also. Most probably some similarity.
Mhm. Similar, yeah, quite similar. What have you drawn, Tejas? अच्छा, sketch किया कुछ? What about you? What is this? Tree of balloon. Okay. Okay. I'm too afraid to ask, but what's this?
So that is the part.
Okay. All right, got it. Okay. See your image. Got it. Sorry. Just set some username. No, mention some unique username which you don't have. Batman riding a bicycle. Oh, but the.
Sun is not done.
Oh yeah. Good. Good. Give it your own username with 123 or something. I mean your name. Pearl DB or something like that. Something which is maybe make it longer. Okay. So the whole point of this exercise, okay, and people who have not completed, please continue doing. The whole point over here was that to show you that it's difficult to go ahead and get LLMs to create exactly what you had in mind. It's not easy. See, the LLM can do stuff. It can do a lot of stuff. But if you want to go ahead and have it create exactly what you want, then it is difficult. Okay. And some of your style, like you had this dancing sun, and it was there was a tree below that, and it was smiling. So a smiling tree, I was like, LLM's like that is probably human error, and didn't do that. Then later on, with a lot of prompting, it did. Okay, and similar stories I've seen elsewhere also, where it's like some places, it just gave it on the first attempt, I believe. Okay, you have pretty much 90% of what you wanted, but you're like, oh, the direction of moving is not there. So now, because also you are not specified it, right? So that is where, if you are more precise in what you want, then it will be able to do it. And also, when you are stepping away from the realm of it being natural, like trees usually don't have a face, but you wanted it. So then you need to specifically call it out. Okay, the way that you want LLMs to behave, you'll need to go ahead and give it more and more information, more direction to it. And see, this is what will happen when you are asking it to do other actions also. You want it to draft an email. You'll be like, 80% of that email is right, but I didn't want this at the end. Okay, 80% of that code is right. I didn't want this. You have to go ahead and tweak the prompt. And several of you did it instinctively, right? You went ahead and you just changed the prompt little bit here and there. You have to see what is missing. You have to go ahead and you generated that image, is it? The tree of balloons. Okay. Yeah. So the more that you wanted to resemble what you had in mind, the more instructions you'll have to go ahead and give it, provide it. Okay. But is this exactly what you had in mind? Okay. All right. Yeah. So now that's the thing, right? See, it's like matching. It's got half of it right. But then you also didn't mention, like, how are they positioned next to each other, and so then those are the things that you'll need to mention in the prompt, because see, you had something in your mind. LLM is not going to understand that. You're going to have to spell it out in words. Okay? Similarly, when you're doing other things also, you're asking you to take an action. You can't assume that, hurry, this was supposed to be done now. Why is it doing it? No, you'll have to tell it. You'll have to treat it. It's a very complex thing, right? Because it has the capabilities of going and understanding very complex concepts. It has capability of writing whatever code you want it to. But then it can't take a lot of decision on its own. You have to go ahead and give it directions So it is able to do stuff that you want. Okay. Now, you had asked that, okay, give an example of agentic AI in real life. Okay, so I'll just talk about that. Okay, so this is my Twitter or X account. Okay, so there's this post over here. Okay, so there's another book which I had written before this called Excellence. It was mainly for helping college kids learn whatever they need to learn before they enter the workforce. Call it Excellence, bridging the gap between classroom and cubicle. Okay, so here is a page from the chapter designing. Okay, there's a screenshot over here of that page where it is saying that, hey, you need to go ahead and design before you start coding and so on. And this is something that we'll follow over here also for agentic AI. Okay, so here is a tweet. What is the material? Don't rush to code. Detailed design doc is the blueprint to a solid foundation. Aim for mental clarity before picking up your coding tools. Kind of very apt for today's whole tools and agent session also. Now here's the thing. I didn't write this. Okay, as in the book I wrote. But this particular post, I didn't write it. I have a bot which does this for me. Okay, so every morning at 9 a.m., Mr. Landgraf bot of mine wakes up on an AWS ECS Fargate. It picks up my book soft copy. Okay, it takes a random page like Inky Pinky Ponky. It picks up one page. It will take a screenshot. It will send it to LLM. It will create an X post. It will come up with the hashtags and all that. Okay, seems like I wrote it, right? Anybody over here, before I mentioned that I didn't write it, felt that it was automated? Okay, and then it will below that it will also put like, hey, my book is available here. Okay, so this is done without me needing to do it. See, why did I do this? Okay, because I wanted a very simple example to give people that agentic AI can do this. This is narrow AI. Okay, to in the very precise terms, if you have to go with it, this is narrow AI. This is not really like suddenly it is not going to be like, hey, here is what Claudius has to think about this. It is taking that screenshot of a page, it is creating an expose, doing the same steps again and again. Sequential, created in LangGraph. Is it of value to me? It is not. I don't need to be doing it. 9 a.m. I was on my way here. Okay, and similarly on other days I am doing something else. I usually kind of towards the end of the day I'll be like, what did I post today? Okay, and sometimes it does make a mistake. See, even over here, I don't know why it has put those double quotes. You see that? Very minor. Okay, there's a double quote here, double quote over there. And in some cases, I've seen it. Oh, here is a good post, and then it puts the post. Okay, I delete it. Okay, and see, those things can be tweaked with prompts and so on. This was something that I did in like about an hour or two or something. The creation of this didn't take much time. Okay, I use like GitHub Copilot to help me wherever I could, and then I just tweaked whatever GitHub Copilot didn't understand. I tweaked that on my own. The deployment of it took more longer, frankly. Okay, creation of the application didn't take much time. Okay, this code is also available on my GitHub repo. I want to make this point that the agentic AI is not just for enterprises. It is even for individuals. You can use it for your own stuff. This is for me. Okay. This is for me. I just did it for myself to save myself some time. You can build agentic application for yourself to go through your emails. The students over here, go through your materials, come up with maybe question and answers based upon previous question papers which are there. Okay, maybe help you with the interviews. Okay, people who are looking for a job change. Okay, all of this you can build it for yourself, and which is the kind of assignment that we'll actually pick up when we come up with an assignment for everybody over here. Okay, we build up something for yourself instead of saying we'll do something for a bank or a hospital and so on. I mean, you're free to do that. Okay, but then I'm assuming that it will be much more enriching experience for you if you want to do something for yourself. We had a medical doctor call up, okay, on our registration form, etc. He got the number and he called up. And then I started with the usual questions like, how much do you know about Python? He was like, I'm a doctor. Okay, I'm a doctor. I want to learn agentic AI because I want to use agents in helping in scheduling appointments at my clinic, plus in managing my investment portfolio. I'm not making this up. Okay, this actually happened. Okay, then we told him that, dude, I mean, you'll need to know a little bit of Python, a little bit of computers, and so on. And if you want, you can come and see the low code part of it. But otherwise, this course is not exactly for you. We told him that. But see, that is what is happening. There are people, he's a doctor for crying out loud. He's saying, I want to build something with Agentic AI. Okay, imagine what is going to happen in software. It is already there. There are so many applications that are getting built out. Right? It's advancing, which is where we need to get more familiar with these tools and just start building. Okay. So you can also follow me on X, see my bot is doing every now and then. Okay, if it posts one of those ridiculous messages, let me know. Go ahead and delete it. Okay. Okay. Now here is where we come back to the other modality of text. Okay. I would want you all to go ahead and actually before this. Okay. There is this other point which gets discussed very often is that with the advent of Gen AI, are people going to become dumb, okay, or less smart? Okay, what do you all think about it? Or are people just going to become irrelevant or not required in the workforce? What are your thoughts about that? Okay, why not? Got it.
That happens. Some industries, for example, maybe food industry,
Mhm.
will still not function on AI. So will still whatever is planned to do
Mhm.
something that everything we cannot get on it. So a few
The gap is there.
yeah, there is
I I,
AI cannot be there.
I did see a robot the other day which was making dosa. Okay, so it's happening. Okay, and there are these some automated kitchens where robots are doing. They are not doing everything. You can't just suddenly go and say, "Oh, I want shawarma," and it will do. But it's like limited dishes, and then it is able to do that. So it is happening. I won't say that it will not be affected.
What about people being dumb? I can
Hmm.
say they'll start thinking more. As I would start thinking more on how I should get my picture done.
Hmm.
So they will be start thinking, no, no, this is not the right one.
Hmm.
Yeah, the other tools are helping us,
Hmm.
but we have to put more focus. Like we have to get the right result.
So that's a good point. See, I believe that the skill set which is required for somebody to be successful will change. Okay, earlier it used to be like when I started off coding 20 years ago, it was like open up your ID, code, code, code. Now it is about how can I use GitHub Copilot to help me in coding. People who can't do that well will find it difficult. So, like you're saying, review, reprompt, adjust your prompt. And that is actually taking the premium as such. Okay, I have seen instances sadly where people over rely on whatever AI has generated, just like, हाँ, अच्छा दिख रहा है, send it. Okay, and then when it has come to me for review, I'm like, why did you do this? AI told me. No, that is ridiculous. You can't rely on AI completely. You have to go ahead and review it. So reviewing skill was something which was required or expected from senior individuals. Now I believe even if junior individuals are doing, they need to enhance that skill. They need to kind of develop that skill to go ahead and because now they are working with a junior assistant of their own AI. They need to go ahead and review that content, give it feedback. You prompting it is basically you acting as a manager to that and saying, this is how I want you to behave. Okay. The other skill. See now AI is able to go ahead and generate anything. That tree made out of balloons, your smiling sun, and so on, your cooling sun, all of that. You are the ones who came up with those thoughts. Okay, I just said for most of you, I said, create an impossible image. And some of you all did that, right? See, that creation of the impossible image came from you. Can that also be outsourced to LLMs? Yes, it can, in a way. Okay, if you go ahead and ask ChatGPT, come up with uh, ideas for 5 impossible images, if you have done that. I didn't see anybody actually leveraging it for that right now. Nobody did that. You all just thought and came up with it. See, that creativity is also something which, as of now, I see it as a premium skill. Okay. Which problem to solve? You mentioned empathy. Okay. Looking at how individuals are doing. So I believe that some of these things will also keep getting affected. Okay. For example, robots are getting fitted with uh, faces which look pretty much like human faces. They have cameras, and through ML models, not even just GenAI, even previous traditional ML models, we are able to go out and figure out, is this face frowning or is this face happy or sad and so on. So we are able to go out and classify facial expressions with emotions. We are able to do that. We are able to go out and play an audio sample and have ML models go out and classify the tone of voice. Is the customer happy, angry, furious? What is it? We are able to get all of that, right? So I wouldn't say that the empathy part is totally untouchable, but rather it is gonna keep going over there. Okay, the zone of what AI gets to do and we don't need to or won't need to, that will keep shrinking, and then we keep working on certain other things. See, let's take a look at certain other industries which have been disrupted before Photoshop. Okay, Photoshop or some of the other paint tools came through. There was a very premium skill of drawing illustrations. Okay, like they say old Tom and Jerry cartoons and so on. Right? People were hand drawing it, right? And then it's like, oh, you don't need to be good with the paintbrush. You need to be good with the mouse, right? And now you don't need to be good with the mouse. You need to be good with the keyboard. Right? You just need to type what you want. It will generate it for you. Correct? So that is what is happening. See, the same people still want to say, watch those animated cartoons and so on. There's a market for that. Okay. But the thing is that the skill which is required to deliver on that, that is going on changing. Now, what is needed to be shown in that clip, that is still our creativity. Okay. And I believe that is which is going to get the premium. Okay. So now I would want all of you to go ahead and write an article on LinkedIn. Okay. Anybody over here who does not have a LinkedIn account? Everybody has. Somebody doesn't. Everybody does. Everybody does, right? Okay, great. Okay, so on LinkedIn, these are some options that I mentioned. Okay, impact of Gen AI on creativity, Gen AI versus Agentic AI, anything that you've learned today. Okay, or any other topic, but related to Agentic AI or Gen AI. Okay, and the point is that I want you to I want you to brainstorm with Claude or ChatGPT or whichever is your favorite model, Grok or so on, to do that. Okay. And I want you to go through this entire cycle, okay, where you come up. I'm not going to go into the basics, but you are coming up with the topic and so on. And then you are using the LLM to go ahead and flesh out your words. You are going to put in whatever tone you want it to be. What is the goal? What do you want the reader to benefit from? It's not just words, right? You want to write something because somebody who reads it, you're writing it for one person. You've got to figure out who that person is who's going to read this. What are they going to get from it? What are they going to gain from it? Okay, so not writing just for the sake of it, something that they're going to benefit by reading from it. Okay, if you want to write this fully on your own also, I'm fine with that. But then I would say that get your essay or your article critiqued by an LLM. Okay, ask it to butcher your article and give you very critical feedback. Tell you, okay, this was wrong, this was right, improve it. Go 1 or 2 rounds with the LLM, I'm saying, and then publish this article. Okay, you could, however you want. So there are different ways to do it. I'll just mention some of those. See, one is that you write everything on your own, send it over there and say, rephrase, vagera, make it formal, whatever. Another way is you create like a skeleton, an outline. These are the important points. LLM, you do the heavy lifting, and then you go ahead and edit, micro edit it a little bit. Okay, the other way is that you go ahead and ask it question like, what will be the best information that comes on this topic? Okay, how can the user benefit from this? and then you get that stuff, you have some thoughts of your own, add it. Okay, do it like that. See, I also don't want this to be an exercise where, see, you should be happy with the article. It is going out with your name, so there should be a personalized angle over there. That is what I want you to end up creating. It should be a creation of your own, even though it is AI. So it should not be like an AI completely and you just put like buy at the end. Okay. So I'm saying take that onus, work with AI, go out and use this. Um, Maybe ask AI to behave like a famous personality. Okay, like Andrew NG or Musk or somebody who's already like long past dead. Okay, C.S. Lewis or whatever, right? And then get some thoughts from them. And maybe you can use some of those examples into your essay overall. But I would want you all to do this, okay? Ideally speaking, now itself, before you all break, okay, that would be great. Okay, at least start with it, okay? The meanwhile, I'll send out information about the Discord channel and all that on the WhatsApp group. So whoever has installed Discord, please accept the invite. It expires after a couple of days, I believe. You all can do this, right, very easily. So there's a lot of time. I believe like in about 15-20 minutes, you'll be able to finish this one, frankly. And even better if you can then go ahead and use one of the image generation tools to create an image that accompanies what you want to say and add it in the article. Okay. If for whatever reason you have forgotten your LinkedIn password and so on, don't sweat it. Put it in the Word document here on your machines. Whenever we come back, we'll come to the same stuff. Then later on, when you go back home, get those passwords, etc. Do it. I'll just borrow a chair. If that is okay. That's okay. I'm not that weak.